Welcome to Life Mastery with Todd Allen, the talk radio show that dives into the science of higher consciousness. Join Todd and his guests weekly at 10 a.m. Pacific Time and learn how to live a peaceful life with intentional mastery. Enjoy a survey of inspiring topics such as abundance, intention, health, manifestation, love, and transformation. It's all right here. Leading authors, speakers, coaches, entrepreneurs with stories and messages to support your well-being, let alone your most evocative dreams.
Happy New Year! Yay! This is the first show of 2022. It's a brand baby year, ready for you to make things happen and get ready to project what it is that you want to bring into your world this year. It's brand new baby. So that means you can just raise it and articulate what it is that you want to happen in 2022. Hi, Jackie. Welcome. Jackie's my co-host for Life Mastery Radio. How are you today, my friend?
I'm good. Thank you. Happy New Year to you and to everyone else.
Did you have a great holiday? It was kind of snowy around here. Jackie and I are in the Seattle area, and we got lots of snow.
We actually had a white Christmas. It's the first time we've had a white Christmas in probably 31 years, I think.
I know. Well, we might have gotten a little bit, but nothing like that. That was pretty amazing. And you know what that means? That was the early snow. That was the late snow for 2021, but we're still due for a good snow in 2022, right? I mean, it usually hits us January, February. So that was kind of amazing.
Well, and the challenge with these December snows, as they have in the past, is once it snows, then it gets really cold, drops down into the teens in Fahrenheit. And then it gets really icy and sticks around and doesn't go away for a while. So we still have a little snow here, even though it's been rainy.
It's going away.
But I took my dog out for a walk one day after Christmas. And by the time we made it back inside, he was limping. And I think what had happened is his foot got so frozen that it was numb and he couldn't walk on it. It was so weird. I've never had that happen before. He's old, so maybe his circulation isn't as good as it used to be. But
I thought a lot about that. I saw a lot of people out walking their dogs, and I thought, man, but my dogs went out too, and they jumped around. My little puppy just had a blast. He'd never seen snow before. He didn't know quite what to think, but he just had a blast. It was hard for me to get him to come back in. So that was pretty cool.
It's always fun to watch that first discovery of snow.
It was quite cute. How are things with the Speak Feed Lead project? We haven't heard for a while. We've been off. How long? We've been off for a couple of weeks.
Yeah. Well, we are still chugging along here and hoping that 2022 is going to be a good year. We are hoping to have some in-person summer camps in July and August this year. And we'll see if Omicron lets us do that without wearing masks, because I refuse to have my students come to class with a mask on their face. We're teaching public speaking, and I want them to be able to feel that they can speak out and not be muted. That's the whole point.
Something else. You went on a cruise back in November. And you're supposed to go on another one, but I just heard something the other day that might not be true.
Look at you. We're trying to keep the energy high here.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, the cruise in November was a marketing cruise for my business. My husband came along as a second wheel. And then January, next week, we're going on a rock and roll cruise because his band is playing on the cruise with lots of other bands. And so now I'm the second wheel.
Wait, we gotta say what the name of the band is, because this is just the coolest thing. Her husband is the lead guitarist for
Paul Revere and the Raiders,
awesome.
which was a band back in the 60s. Now, because Paul Revere has actually passed on, it is now Paul Revere's Raiders. So
right.
Different name, but same players, except for my husband now is the newest member of that conglomerate.
So that's pretty cool. But so this is a rock and roll cruise. Is it on?
As far as I know, it's on.
Okay.
Yeah.
You go, girl.
I think they're starting to spread some rumors about cruises being shut down, but the one we went in November was fabulous. We didn't have any recorded.
I remember you talking about it.
COVID or anything like that. The only thing we had to worry about was that if we were porting in one of the international countries or something like that, and they had changed their COVID policies in the last 24 hours, then we may not be able to get off the ship. But that didn't happen. So hopefully it won't happen now. But we've got 4 exciting ports in the Caribbean. So
very cool. We'll have to
it's going to be awesome.
We'll keep track of that and find out how that worked out.
Yeah.
I want to remind today's listeners that our show page is at www.lifemasteryradio.net or .com, and any links that we talk about on the show today, we have a wonderful guest for you today, and any links, the link to her website is already there. So if you go to www.lifemasteryradio.net or .com, you can track and follow her. So I guess my point is, you don't have to worry about writing anything down, because anything that we talk about, you'll be able to. And if you miss something, you can go to our YouTube channel. Life Mastery Radio with Todd and Jackie has a YouTube channel, and all of our shows are put up there. It might take a couple days by the time we process it and everything, but you can find it there. While you're on the website, we have a newsletter, and Jackie creates a newsletter every week, and it highlights who's been on the show with her blog post of what she got from the show. So in that newsletter, you'll find out who's been on the show, who's coming on the show, and a little bit about the most recent show. So you can sign up for that there. Jackie and I have a book. The links are there. My book is 6 Keys to Life Mastery, and Jackie's book is
behind me.
Self-Centered Leadership. You can see it back there, but the links are on the website. So be sure and check that out. Thank you for tuning in today. We have, like I said, we have a really cool guest. And I think, let's see, today is Jackie's guest. She's responsible for this. So she has the introduction.
Good thing I'm a responsible person, huh?
It's a very good thing. Keeps me on track, that's for sure. Take it away, Jackie.
All right. Well, today, please welcome Madeline Davis. She's a multiple #1 international best-selling author, a TEDx speaker, the creator of the Stress-Free Family System, and a Master Parenting Strategist. And one of the reasons we were compelled to have her on our show was because of her core premise, which is you don't have to be born a together mom but you can learn to look, act, and feel like one, which I think all mothers want to try to do it sometime. So welcome, Madeline, as a Master Parenting Strategist. And I'm wondering if you can tell us about your story and your core premise. Madeline, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me here. Well, I help overwhelmed parents create well-functioning, stress-free homes they can feel really good about raising their kids in, so that they can be the relaxed, confident parent that they really want to be, knowing that you're providing your kids with a strong foundation and really setting them up for success. And that's me now, but I wasn't always the relaxed, confident mom that I wanted to be. I wasn't raising my kids in the home that I had envisioned raising them in. And I certainly wasn't born a quote unquote together mom. So I was that mom who was so overwhelmed with the logistical and operational stuff of parenting that I actually wore 2 different shoes to walk my kids to school. Parenting was so hard for me, and I just didn't know what to do and when to do it. So it was just always very chaotic in my home. But once I figured out my system, the stress-free family system, I was able to stop struggling and be the mom that I wanted to be, not just for myself, but for my kids also. So the system is based on my core premise that you don't have to be born a together mom. You can learn to look, act, and feel like a together mom and go from having that chaotic environment to a stress-free family. So it's a very hopeful core premise, because for those of us that weren't born together, Mom, we feel like doomed. Is it always going to be like this? Am I never going to figure this out? My kids are going to grow up and leave and move, go to college, get married, and I'm never going to get it together. So it's very hopeful and very successful.
And your system, your book, which is it's an instruction book that we didn't come into this world with, right? I mean, here is, and one thing I think that I didn't hear you say is that it brings the parent sanity, right? that you get to feel a sense of worth and you're organized, and this can all happen in what, 28 days?
Right. So the book is A Stress-Free Family, Chaos to Calm in Only 28 Days. And it is a daily, as you said, like a handbook. Do this today, do this the second day, do this the third day. I will say that for those parents that take the program, most parents complete the program in 6 weeks.
Right.
Because they take time off their videos and things like that. So they typically take it over 6 weeks, but it can be done in 28 days.
And not perfectly. I think you stress that in the book a lot too. It's just, it's like riding a bike. You just have to practice and implement these. This is what worked for me. So I'm really curious and usually I ask this at the end of the show, but I'm really curious some of the feedback that you've gotten from people that have implemented the program. I mean, obviously this is life-changing. This could make all of the difference in
all
being
the
a parent.
In the world. It's so interesting because when I embarked on this journey, I thought I'm the only one. Every other mom at drop-off looked so together. It was so intimidating. I was very successful in my business life. I'm an entrepreneur. And I just kind of thought that, oh, I'll just pop out some kids. How hard could that be? I'm accustomed to having, all this organizational skill in my business world. I'm accustomed to having people listen to me in my business world. My kids were definitely not listening to me. It was very different. I just wasn't expecting to have these struggles that I had in parenting. I thought it was going to come very easy and very naturally to me, and it didn't.
As we all think.
Well, I've come to find, right, that, most parents that look like they're having it together, even those parents have said to me, they took the program because it was so hard for them to keep that illusion up. That it was just so hard for them, and they wanted to learn how to really do it so they didn't have to kind of fake it. And the feedback that I get is really still astonishing for me after all these years that I've been at it. So maybe 13 or 14 years now, but I'm still so surprised because it is so life-changing. And the strategies that I teach, and hopefully we'll have an opportunity for me to go into some of them and give you guys some actual tips for your audience that's listening, is they're very simple things. So they're not complicated things. They're simple. And once you hear them, it's like, yes, I can do that. And once you implement them, it makes a big difference. So it is a parenting program, but it is a family program. And that's why I call it a family system, because it affects everybody. If you're unhappy in your life, nagging and feeling ineffective and unproductive, you're not happy. You're not a great partner. You're not a great parent. You're not a great friend, not a great sister or brother. It's difficult.
Or if you're always frustrated and you're always, low energy and all of that. I mean, this is life-changing for a parent. I don't want to jump ahead of Jackie. Jackie's probably got something. Go, Jackie.
Well, I was going to say, as a mother to mother here, I remember how it just seemed like, why can't I do this well? And now that I'm past that stage in my life, but I have grandchildren, I also see, oh my gosh, there's still chaos going on with these children. So why do you think there is so much chaos in a home? No matter how hard you try, it seems like there's still chaos. And before you even answer that, I want you to think too, has COVID exacerbated that chaos, or do parents now feel like I've got to get this under control and they're trying harder? So what do you think is the answer to why is there so much chaos, and is there even more so now?
So there's a three-part question there. So COVID has absolutely exasperated the situation because kids are now also going to school. So if you have 3 kids going to 3 different classrooms, even if they go to the same school, they're on different laptops or different iPads because they're in different classes. They can't be in the same room, and you might have your partner at home as well. So it has really exasperated the situation. And the second part of that was, are they really looking to take care of it now? And that answer is yes, because they've hit the wall. You know, and a lot of times people need to be really in duress to get the help they need. So sometimes many parents will be like, well, you know, I'm not going to get a coach, or I'm not going to get a program or read a book on this because, you know, this is parenting. I should know how to do this. I just get it. I'll muddle through and I'll get it together. And now they've just had it, right? They've hit that wall and they just can't take it anymore. And when you can't take it anymore is oftentimes when you bite the bullet and you do it. So the first part of your question about why do so many families struggle? So most moms know that children thrive with structure. And I knew that too, right? It's just that for me, like most moms, it was very hard for me to create the structure. So I believe most families struggle to create structure in their homes because, one, we don't have the tools to do it. So maybe we've grown up with chaos in our own childhood, in our past, and that is what we know and what we feel comfortable with. Maybe we know what we want, but we don't know what we need to do to get it. So as you said earlier, it's not like we were given a handbook when our kids were born, right? So we're all just trying to do the best we can with what we've got. And if we don't have the tools and the strategies and the tricks and the tips, then we are left searching for answers and just winging it. And winging it is essentially trial and error learning, which is the hardest and the most inefficient way to learn. And I will just add to that, that when we decide to start searching for answers and we start Googling, and, you know, one website will lead you to another website, will lead you to another article, will lead you to another article, will lead you to...
Down the rabbit hole we go.
Down the rabbit hole you go. And it is such a massive amount of information out there, and conflicting ideas. And that's what happened to me. And what happens is that is paralyzing, the glut of information. There's no decisions made in confusion, right? Confusion is the antithesis of this place where you want to be to make a decision. So when you have all of that information coming at you, you can't make smart decisions, you get paralyzed, and essentially you do nothing. And that's why I wanted to create a system so all of the pieces fit together and make sense together, you know, all in one place. And that's really what helped me, and ultimately what helped all of the other, you know, parents that I was able to work with.
Yeah.
Doing nothing is a decision to do is a decision, right? I mean, it's
absolutely.
And that creates even more chaos. So you have this 6-step process, but I want to entice our listeners just a little bit, because I thought this was a brilliant idea, and maybe we might be jumping ahead a little bit, but we're going to entice our listeners. This idea is called the Tomorrow Basket. Can you highlight, clue us in a little bit on how that works? This was just brilliant.
Thank you so much for saying that. So I just want to clarify, and you must have read the book, so you know a little bit more than most. So the system, the core of the system, the pillars are actually 5, and the 6th that you're referencing, I give as a bonus. But the core system is really 5 parts, and I want to answer that question, if it's okay with you.
Certainly.
In a specific way. So I want to give you the actual formula for the stress-free family. So all 5 parts of it, but I also want to give you a strategy you can begin using right away.
Cool.
Because while I hope that the information I share with you today is inspirational, what I really want for your audience is a transformation, and transformations come from action. So I will answer that basket question within.
You go, girl.
About the formula. So if that's okay with you, I'll do just kind of like a training segment, okay?
Train away, Madeline, train away.
So the first step is routines. And I know that many people have tried creating routines before. What I'm talking about is routines that work. So you would be amazed at how much stress is reduced when you have routines at home that work. So a lot goes into actually having those types of optimized routines. It's not as simple as downloading a checklist from the internet. So I'm sure everybody's already done that. Every parent on the planet has done that. But if it was that simple, then every home in America would have their kids following amazing routines. So,
well, I just want to jump in. Every family dynamic is different. And so your process tunes this into your reality, correct?
Absolutely. So I give an 8-step process of figuring out what optimized routines mean for you. And each child within your family is different. So as your children get older, their routines change, their schedules change. So for example, I had 3 kids very close together in age, and each one of their grades had a different start time in the morning, right? So it doesn't matter if you're going to the same school, you could have a different start time. So the routines are going to be very different. So an 8-step process sounds complex, but it's simple. It's very simple once you know the steps that you need to do. So I'm going to give you one of those steps right now, and then I'll talk about the tomorrow box or the tomorrow basket. So I will give you a step that will help you create optimized routines at home. And I call this step clustering. So again, it sounds simple, and it is, but once you implement it in the way that I show you, it's a life changer. So here's how you do that. So to begin with, you choose a time in the day where your child's routine is the most challenging. And obviously you would do this for all of their routines, but I'm just walking you through what to do for right now. So you take a few minutes and write down the 2 or 3 rooms where the activities take place and what happens in each room during that time. So I'll use a typical morning routine. So in the bedroom, that's where the activity takes place. They would make the bed, get dressed, and grab a book bag. In the bathroom, they use the bathroom, they brush their teeth. And in the kitchen, they eat breakfast and grab their lunchbox or their lunch bag, right? So that's pretty simple, right? That takes 35 seconds to put together. But what's probably happening right now is that your child or your children are ping-ponging back and forth from room to room, which is increasing opportunities for distraction and disorganization. And they're also wasting time beating that path back and forth from room to room.
Trying to figure out what to do next.
That's right. And leave stuff in each room, right? Where did I leave this? Where did I leave that? So instead, clustering will help you organize their routine so that they are only in each room one time, right? So it just organizes them. So you're in the bedroom once, you're in the bathroom once, you're in the kitchen once, you're out the door. Okay. It's so much easier. So what you were speaking about was in my home, we call it a tomorrow box. I encourage families to choose whatever name works for them. But essentially what it is a way to contain everything that needs to go out the door with them in the morning and bring to their bedroom everything that has to come in the door when they walk in the door. So everything is, and we use a basket. So everything goes in that basket. So if their book bag goes with them, if their soccer cleats goes with them, so everything is prepared the night before, because a great day starts the night before. And when they leave in the morning, their basket is at the front or back door, whatever your exit and entry point is. So when you look in that basket and there's nothing left, you know your child has everything they need. And really what you're training your children to do is for them to pack the bags and for them to pack the basket or box or whatever you use, and for them to check to make sure they have everything. What that does when you plan your day, the prior day, is it helps you begin to start practicing next step thinking. What's the next thing I'm going to have to do? What is coming on the schedule for tomorrow? How do I need to prepare myself? You're really teaching them how to think strategically and critically. And it avoids all of those. I left my homework at home. Say again?
I said, oopsie. Oh, hey, Mom, I forgot.
So I used to get that call. I used to drop my 3 kids off at school and then get the call. I didn't have my homework. It's raining. They don't have a rain jacket. They forgot their lunchbox. And I was doing that all the time. And that's why everything that is in the system is there, because I went through it. Mm-hmm. And I needed a way that's simple, that's fast and simple and seamless, and that works. It's repeatable, it's sustainable. So the second part of the system is what I call rhythms. So nobody out there is teaching this. This is my secret sauce, but I'm going to let you guys in on it. So even homes that have routines nailed down, they still have stress because they don't know about creating rhythms for their home. So rhythms are about creating a process for the repetitive instances that require both you and your child's participation that will result in your homes running effortlessly. So what does that mean? You know, all those seemingly small issues that show up and they derail you and contribute to the stress of the day? We want those to go away, so that the first time a problem arises is the last time a problem arises. So think about any events or situations or activities that involve your child's participation that drive you crazy. So for example, maybe your children constantly ask you questions when you're trying to get out the door on time. So you're trying to get them out and they're like, can I go to Johnny's house this weekend? Can I, what's for dinner later tonight? Or maybe they ask you what's for lunch tomorrow 50 times a day. That was very annoying for me. So one of the major things in my home is that their notes from school got misplaced all the time. And they ended up getting turned in late, or I'd get a call from school. Today's the school trip. I don't have the
permission slip.
And there was a lot of chaos around that. So imagine that all of these things stopped, right? That's a life changer, right? So here's how you can get started stopping that. You can start with 1 or 2 of these speed bumps that show up consistently, right? These are things that show up more than once, right? The permission slips show up more than once. The what's for dinner shows up, every day, right? So you want to create a repeatable process so that they no longer slow you down, get you off track, or irritate you, because some of these things are just irritating, right? So, and I walk you through exactly how to create a repeatable, sustainable solution. And again, we're teaching our children, how do we come up with solutions to problems? Because life is a series of problem, solution, problem, solution, problem, solution. Little kids, little problems, big kids, big problems. You want them to start thinking.
Problem solving.
Because we're raising productive human beings, right? Productive, happy, human beings. So I hope that makes sense. So step 3 is all about rules. Now, most moms know that they need to have rules for their kids. And I used to have tons of rules. They were changing all the time. Nobody knew what they were. And I enforced them based on how much energy I had in that moment, right? So basically ineffective. In the stress-free family system, rules are based on 2 very important principles. So the first is that rules are tied to values and principles. Right? So when we have rules that are tied to our values and principles, that makes it much easier to stick to, because instead of feeling like we're just, a mean mom, like with our finger in the air, like, enforcing rules all the time, we get to feel like great moms providing teaching moments. So that's totally different. Doing this also really forces you to think about the rules that you want in your home and what you really want to be teaching your children. So it's not like an in the moment, right? So that's great thing to do is to start thinking about what you want to be teaching your children. Like, why are the rules there? Right? So the second principle is what I call the rules trifecta. Again, that's part of my secret sauce. So most moms know that they need rules for their kids, and some moms know that they need rules for their home, but very few moms or parents know that in order to have a stress-free family, you need to have rules for yourself. And, right? Understand why they are important for you to have. So parent rules, right? So rules for moms and rules for dads. So here's an example of 2 mom rules and how they can help you be consistent and stay on track. So one rule is, and by the way, I encourage everybody to create their own rules. I just give examples.
Examples, right?
Will be according to what works for you. And I talk about like the factors you need to consider in terms of what works for you, right? So I will only choose consequences I know I can honor, right? So this is going to help me show my child that I say what I mean and I mean what I say, that I'm not a pushover. It will help me stay consistent and will help me feel respected. And one of the things that I hear all the time, it helps moms with, and I was one of those moms too, is when we blurt things out like, I'm going to get rid of all your toys. Right? Everybody knows you're not going to get rid of their toys. Like they know you're not going to get rid of all the toys. So you'll never leave the house again, right? You're going to be punished until you're 40.
Right.
You're grounded for the next 3 months. Like it's ineffective because they know you're not doing that, right? So we're only going to make rules or consequences that we know we're going to
Uphold.
To keep, right? Another good rule for a parent, if this works for you, is I will not allow my emotions to guide my actions, right? So why? Because I always regret when I act out of emotion and I see that things don't change anyway.
Right.
Right? I'll take a deep breath before I react, right? So one thing your audience can do right now is to identify 1 or 2 rules that you can give yourself that would allow you to feel like the parent you really want to be. So you could choose from 5,000 rules, but those are 2 good starting points, right?
I thought a really good one that you talked about in your book was, and this was profound because I remember back, all my kids are in their 20s and well, I have one in their 30s, but this one just really hit me because I can remember back, it was no means no, right? And you get nagged until you get a yes, but if you stand your ground and look, I said no, that means no.
Right. Thank you for bringing that up. That's one of my favorite ones. I have a no nag home. I teach a course called Never Nag Again. And I believe that nagging is, I shouldn't say that I believe it. This is what I also hear back from all the parents, but it is like the #1 most irritating, annoying thing that parents deal with. They hate hearing themselves having to say the same thing over and over and over again. But if you decide that when you say no, that's a no, and it doesn't matter if they ask you 50 times, it's really, you need to learn that. Because every time you say no and a no turns into a yes, what they're learning is, I just got to ask enough times and eventually that no will turn into a yes.
Mom's a sucker. I can get her to flip.
I can get her to flip. So it's really about teaching the parent and having the parent give themselves that rule. No means no, even if you ask me 50 times. Like I can withstand that. And withstanding that is hard the first time. It's irritating the second time. It's annoying the third time. And the fourth time, it doesn't happen. Because once they figure it out, mom's not going to cave. It's a waste of their energy. So it's just being resilient those first couple of times. So if you've taught your child, and believe me, I'm guilty, I've done that. But if you've taught your child that a no means a yes, it just means that I got to keep asking. If you
nagging,
that we need to untrain them. So that
I thought that was profound. That was very cool. No mean it, and you know, as parents, we do it. And we don't really recognize that the result is bringing us the same behavior over and over again. But the way you bring it out in the book, it's just like, wow,
Right.
Well, so then perhaps maybe one of the first rules you have to have is that all the rules are going to be obeyed even by mom, because a lot of times you say that mom becomes this pushover because she's trying to make everybody happy. She's trying to maintain some sort of peace in the home and trying to negate the arguments that can come up among siblings and so forth. And many times there is an opportunity for you to just go, oh, whatever, just do whatever you want, just get out of my face, But so I think maybe one of those first rules is that the rules will be kept and obeyed. And I'll tell you, when I was a young mother, one of the first things that I learned that kept me sane was that I had to be awake every day before my kids were. Because if I let them get ahead of me, then I was always on the defensive the rest of the day. And so that was a rule that I had for myself and kept, is that I was always up before the kids were, because I wanted them to know I was never asking them to do something that I wasn't willing to do. So if I was willing to get up at 5 a.m. so that I could be on time to work or whatever I needed to be, then they needed to be up on time too, to get to school or wherever they needed to be. So that was one of the rules that seemed to work for me. I had to be ahead of the kids.
That's great. And it really shows your commitment also to self-care. Self-care is self-love. So it's showing your children that mom needs a half an hour of quiet time to have your coffee or your tea or journal or get a workout in or just meditate, whatever it is that you did during that time. That's a form of self-love, and letting your children know that you get up early to give yourself that space and that grace is really important. So that's a great rule. More moms should have that rule. Because sometimes it is the only time you have for yourself. You're trying to lock yourself in the bathroom. I am currently, unfortunately, I was hacked on my social media, so I don't have any social media, but I used to have this recurring post that came up in my Facebook group that was a picture of like little fingers coming through underneath the door, the bathroom door, and like the mom's trying to get, 5 minutes of quiet and the kids are trying to get in. It's like one of my favorite posts, but
yes,
yeah, rules are really important. And one of the things that I talk a lot about in the program and in the book is understanding why you're making that rule, not just for your children, but why are you making that rule for yourself? Like, why is it important? And when you understand the bigger picture, your why for doing it, it's easier to be consistent with the rules. So if you tied, for example, that rule to understanding that you're teaching your children about self-respect and self-love and taking care of yourself and how important that is, and you're also giving yourself that, you're setting yourself up for success by giving yourself that half an hour or that hour before they get up. And you know that you're going to have a great day because you're starting off giving time to yourself. That's really important. So when that alarm clock goes off and you're kind of tired and you just want to hit snooze, you're like, wait,
I know what to do.
And I'm a great role model for my kids, and I'm giving myself this amazing gift.
That's
so
great.
Yeah. I think it's important too to combat hypocrisy, right? Because I distinctly remember an epiphany I had when I was spanking my daughter. I mean, I think she was still in diapers or something. I don't know. But so I was spanking her and saying at the same time, "You do not hit your brother." And I'm spanking her while I'm saying, "Do not hit your brother." And I'm like, what the heck am I doing here? I'm being a hypocrite. I'm punishing her for something that I'm actually doing in the moment I'm telling her not to do it.
So that leads me to my next step, which is rewards. But what I was going to say is that you use the word punishment, and in the stress-free family system, we use the word consequence.
Right.
And when you think about a punishment, quote unquote, like what you would use as the word punishment as a consequence, it makes it a lot easier to draw a line between the infraction and the punishment that you want to deliver, if you think of it as a consequence. So I talk a lot about relevant consequences, which is a natural consequence of the infraction. So, if one of the things I talk about, an easy example is if you're trudging around the house with your dirty shoes, and there's a rule in the house that you take your shoes off when you walk in the house, then you have to stop what you're doing. They're playing Xbox or on the iPad or Legos or whatever they're doing. And you have to take the time to sweep the house, right? So the natural consequence is that they don't get to have fun and they have to do what they consider to be a chore. I call it a contribution, but, and it impacts their playing time with their siblings or their friends or with themselves. So that will help move away from, I'm going to do these two things that don't kind of correlate. Spanking and hitting, they don't correlate because you're trying to teach your child not to hit. So then you would think of something, and a lot of times that's a naturally occurring relevant consequence. So if you're hitting your sister's not going to want to play with you. You just lost your. So not being able to see a friend until mommy knows that you can keep your hands to yourself and not hurt her body, then you can't see your friends. Like, that's a relevant consequence. So it's not like I'm punishing you and you're grounded, which is like, well, why am I grounded? It's that I'm concerned that when you have a reaction, you might hit your friend, and I don't want to do that until we're ready. So, so what I prefer to do is reward for good behavior than punish for bad behavior. So step 4 is rewards. And everybody's tried rewarding their children before, and they give them candy, stickers, money. Those things rarely work, because when they do, what you're teaching your child is to act only with external motivation. So if you stop paying them, they stop doing whatever it is that they're supposed to be doing. So we do not want that. So I encourage parents to encourage our kids to behave well using internal motivation. And there's so much room for fun when your kids are behaving well and your home is running smoothly and easily. And that's really what I want for all parents. So to start getting on that plan is think about 3 things that your child would want to do or have that feels like a reward. And it's better to think about more experiences. So put yourself in your child's shoes and answer these questions from their point of view. So just like we said before, that we're only going to have rules that we know we can, be consistent with. So the list should only include rewards that you would be willing to give them if they behave well. So if you're not going to take them to Disney, like, we're not going to say, you do this, you're going to Disney, right? Because we're always saying what we mean and meaning what we say. And that's how they learn to trust us. And consistency is part of maintaining your structure, right? So we want to be thinking of rewards ahead of time, instead of on the fly, we're just winging it, or we're bribing them in the moment. So you really want
to create a list of rewards that you can put in the bank and maybe pull those out. That's profound.
So I create a whole reward system, and I talk about how to create a reward system, and it's really based on benchmarks of what the expectation is of what your child can do. And when you meet those expectations, they get these rewards. And you use the word bank. I suggest banking rewards so that they can have something big. So and they're learning about adding and subtracting and saving and money and learning to extend gratification, which is something that when you're small, it's really hard. If you say to your child, a 3-year-old child, we're going to Disney December, they're like, when's December? They don't know when that is.
That's too far away, Mom. I know.
Tomorrow is too far away. But if you tell a 16-year-old, they can think about that and they can hold on, right? Are you guys still there? Are we having?
Yeah.
No, I think something just came through on the station. We're fine.
Okay. So you really want to consider what would motivate and encourage your child to do what they ought to be doing, which is behaving really well. And you want to build a reward system around that. So start thinking more about rewarding than punishing, right? And that also will make a happier home. You'll be happier because you're the mom that you're the dad that gets to give your child this opportunity instead of the mom who has to, spank your child or
Right.
take away a sleepover or something like that. Okay.
Fascinating.
Yeah. Step 5.
And moms always seem to end up being the disciplinarians. And
Right.
you
And
know,
that's also a big struggle for 2-parent households, that one person is usually the one who is the disciplinarian. The other one's like the fun one. So it's like
right.
the bad
Good
cop.
cop, good
And that
cop.
causes a lot of stress in partnerships, like when partners are not on the same parenting page. So doing this evens the playing field. Everybody knows what's going to happen. Everybody's on the same page. And right in the beginning of the system, whether it's in the book or in the program, I talk a lot about whether you have a 1-parent home, a 2-parent home. If there are 2 parents, but they're living in different places, they're separated or divorced, or just circumstances have them living in different places, like how to, manage that, whether you're parenting singly or parenting with 2 or 3 parents. Sometimes, parents get divorced and then there's another parent, there's parents remarry, there's 3 homes, there's 2 homes. I mean, there's all different kinds of homes, but we want to take the stress out of the family. So this bad cop, good cop thing doesn't work for anybody.
Right.
It really doesn't. And you're teaching your children also how to divide their parents and how to create that wedge. And now the parents are focused on each other and they're not so much paying attention to the kid anymore. The kid can have whatever they want because now we're fighting. And it just, we want to try to avoid that.
Right.
Step 5 in the formula is to revolutionize your home. And that's what happens when you bring your kids in on it. And this is one of my signature moves that I teach in the system that I'm going to share with you
What
today.
we might want to clarify really quick, Madeline, is up until this point, your processes are secret, right? Maybe you should explain that a little
You
bit.
just gave the secret away. Yes.
Oh.
No, that's good. That's good. And I'm so excited that you read through it, but that's exactly right. And it's completely counterintuitive to keep things a secret, but it's really essential. So usually when parents are rolling something new out, they're going to, start doing something different with the kids. They want to bring them in on it right away. Right. They want to let them know what's going on.
This is the way we're going to do things, right?
Yep, from now on, starting tomorrow, we're going to do this. But what we're trying to do this is really, with the system, is create a new foundation in your home. So we're going to be creating structure and consistency. And what I suggest is that you don't tell your kids you're going to be doing anything different. You don't make a big announcement that things are going to be changing or that you're adopting a whole new lifestyle. So they already have a lot of change going on in their lives.
Right.
And it's scary. And if you tell them that you're about to start implementing new rules and there's going to be new routines at home, you're really setting yourself up for pushback, negotiation, and resistance.
Right.
So give yourself and them a chance to really ease into the changes slowly and to start to feel some success around doing it. And then after everybody's had some practice and some success, that's when you can bring them in on it and you're ready for your revolutionized meeting. So I suggest keeping the stress-free family system a secret. During your meeting, once they've got kind of the hang of it, they know what to do and they know when to do it and they're feeling successful, that's the time you can tell them that things are going to change. But the thing is, things have already been changing.
Right.
That's the thing. You've been practicing the system day by day. The changes have been kind of like organic, right? Little changes. And then when you tell them it's going to change, you call a family meeting, you ask a lot of questions. I mean, I walk you through the whole thing, but you say things like, have you noticed that things have changed around the house? What do you think is working? What do you think would be a good rule for our home? What do you think would be a great reward for behaving well? You're
Get some
really
input.
You're leading them to the conclusion that they're the ones driving the change. But meanwhile, you've been driving the change, right?
Right.
And they're going to be much more interested and likely to follow a program that they helped create, right? So,
Well, and Madeline, in fact, you even say not only don't let your kids know, but depending upon the circumstances in your family, don't even let the other parent know.
Yes.
right?
Right. So if your partner is somebody who's going to get in the way and like put up roadblocks and obstacles of you getting this done, I say, keep them out of it. Totally out of it. You do your thing. The system is so easy. You don't need a partner to do it. You can absolutely do it in a single home. The way I like to think of it is if you have a partner, it will be great if they're on board, but if they're not on board, then you can invite them in. You've got it down. I mean, the system will make your home run so differently that you can do it on your own without feeling resentful, without like, gritting your teeth and doing it. It's easy. You don't need anybody else to do it. And it's nice if they want to be part of it. But when you bring your partner in on it, there will have been changes happening in the house already. So when you are implementing the components of the system, things are changing. Things are getting less stressful. You're happier. You're not nagging as much. You're not exhausted with like energy draining activities like nagging all the time. And you're a happier person while your partner is noticing that.
Or it's interesting. It's interesting that you say that, Madeline, because I read through the book and I was just enlightened. This is the rule book. So for those of you that have young kids, and go check out this book. You can get it on Amazon, and sometimes Madeline has free gifts that she gives out. So follow her and track her. But one thing that came to my mind was, wow, this would be a good way for a partner to get their partner organized without even them knowing it, right?
Yes. I love that you say that, because so many parents say to me, I tried these tips and tricks on my husband or on my wife, and it's amazing. And it is a great way, because it's a very positive way. You're kind of leading by example. So when your partner sees how great things are, they're like, wait, what's been going on? And then you tell them, they're already on board. You're not like, you don't have to put on like the pom-poms and the cheerleading outfit and like take out like a whiteboard and make like a Venn diagram. And you don't have to like do this whole marketing blitz on your partner if they've already seen the result or the outcome or the beginnings of it. So it is a great way to think about just interacting in general. Like if you have a boss and you want to ask for a raise, well, show them what the benefits are of you doing this, taking on these additional responsibilities. If, there's just so many ways to kind of use this information, but I basically outlined the 5 pillars and given everybody the roadmap of the stress-free family system. Of course, like you said, this is just the tip of the iceberg. In my program, I go so much deeper into each of these components.
And in the book, So
too.
check out Madeline. Oh my goodness, ladies, we only have a couple of minutes left. Madeline, thank you so much for showing up today as you and bringing us such a great system. I hope you'll come back on the show, because like you said, there is so much more we could talk about.
So much more. The time just flew by. Thank you so much for having me.
Did you have fun? I told you were going to have a blast.
So much fun. My profound pleasure. And I thank you for giving me this platform. Thank you so much.
No sweat. That's what we do. That's what Jackie and I. Jackie, any takeaways quickly? We just have about a minute.
Yeah, I was going to say, even if you do not have children in the home right now, Madeline's system works for you. As I was reading through her book, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I need to develop more routine. I need to develop more rhythms for me, right, so that I can be more organized and feel more successful. So you don't have to have a family to get benefit through her program. So
I was even thinking, wow, some of these things work great in my business.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have many, I have like 12 employees, and it's like, whoa, so it's pretty cool stuff. Check it out. Go to lifemasteryradio.com or .net. Click on today's show page, and Madeline's link will be right there. Sign up for the newsletter, and you'll get the rest of the info.
Give the name of your book one more time, Madeline.
It's a stress-free family, chaos to calm in only 28 days.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Might take that long, might not take that long. That's about all we have time for today. I hope you enjoyed the show. Please tell a friend about it. We appreciate that, and we appreciate you. Lastly, please please make it a great day because, as we learned today, it is all about choice. Bye-bye for now.
Thank you for tuning into Life Mastery with Todd Allen, the talk radio show that dives into the science of higher consciousness. Join Todd and his guests weekly at 10 a.m. Pacific Time and learn how to live a peaceful life. For more information on Todd and his guests, visit his website at www.lifemasteryradio.net. That's www.lifemasteryradio.net.